Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 33rd edition of the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame Induction Ceremonies. My name is Shane Andrews, and once again, it is my privilege and honor to be here in front of you tonight as your Master of Ceremonies. We would like to take a moment to mention and welcome all the fans, media members, family members, award recipients, and inductees to the hallowed grounds known as the Hall of Fame. This evening, we induct our class of 2025. 3 drivers who have earned their place within these hallowed grounds and recognize the awards to those who have contributed to our sport. Tonight, we will reminisce, reflect, create memories as we gather together to embrace and preserve the history of our sport. So welcome on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and everybody associated with the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame. We have a beautiful looking crowd tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out. We know many of you have traveled from long distances, some of you from short distances. No matter where you came from, what facet of motorsports you represent, we welcome you with open arms to the Hall of Fame. Since our last gathering, we unfortunately have had to say goodbye to some close friends and heroes that have not only been an integral part of the success of the Hall of Fame, but also drivers who have been enshrined upon these walls. And if you would, for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, I beg for your indulgence as we give some memories here tonight. Bobby Botcher, inducted in the class of 2000, a fan favorite at the Orange County Fair Speedway back in the 70s. He was the 1973 Orange County Fair Speedway Modified Champion and took the track's Eastern States 200 in 1974. Guy Shorty Robinson, inducted in the class in 1993. Shorty was a staple at the dirt tracks well after he retired and was a fixture at every Hall of Fame induction up to his passing. Will Cagle, one of the original inductees in 1992. The Tampa Terror left an impression on all he met, not only on the track, but off the track as well, as he set the definition of a fierce competitor. Kenny Meal, inducted in the class of 1997. Meal drove the number 38 for future NASCAR Hall of Famer Jerry Cook, chasing points throughout the Northeast and down south against some of the scrappiest drivers in the business. This partnership finished 6th in the nation in 1962 NASCAR National Sportsman Point Standings. Ovid Doiron, a beloved driver and engine builder. Ovid was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2012. The Flying Frenchman was well respected, not only here in the States, but was also a hero to many of his countrymen. And we'd be remiss if we didn't say goodbye to a friend of the Hall of Fame and the founder of the Race Pro Weekly magazine, Bobby Chalmers, who passed away last week. I ask that everyone here please join all of us involved in the Hall of Fame in a moment of silence and remembrance for these exceptional individuals. Thank you. You know, every year, I made this comment earlier to somebody out in the reception area, that it's like a homecoming, if you will. Not only is it a homecoming, but it's also a reunion, as we only get to do this once a year. And as I look out in the crowd, I see some familiar faces that I see at every Hall of Fame induction. I see new faces that haven't been here to the Hall of Fame before, and we invite you to come back and see us again. But tonight, we want to take a moment to recognize some individuals that are here from previous classes that were inducted and received awards here at the Hall of Fame. As I mention your name, please stand to be recognized. From the class of 1999, the mechanic recipient, Scott Jeffrey. From the class of 2002, the Women in Racing recipient, Hertha Beberwick. From the class of 2003, the recipient of the Outstanding Contributions to Award winner, Jim Sensabaugh. From the class of 2009, the recipient of the Women in Racing Award, Jessica Friesen. And she brought a very handsome escort with her tonight. Hello, Parker. How you doing, buddy? From the class of 2010, the recipient of the Women in Racing Award, Buffy Swanson. From the class of 2012, the recipient of the Outstanding Contributions to Motorsports, Jack Spino. And this one embarrasses me that I have to read this, but I have to read it anyways. From the class of 2012, the recipient of the Announcers Award, Shane Andrews. If I owe anybody money, my apologies. Catch me afterwards. From the class of 2014, the recipient of the Women in Racing Award, Robin Yasinsak Gillespie. From the class of 2014, inducted into the Hall of Fame, Chargin' Charlie Rudolph. From the class of 2015, the recipient of the Outstanding Contributions Award, Al Hankey. From the class of 2016, the recipient of the Andrew J. Fusco Media Award, George Caruso Jr. From the class of 2017, the recipient of the Andrew J. Fusco Media Award, Lenny Sammons. From the class of 2018, the recipient of the Outstanding Contributions Award, Gary Spade. From the class of 2019, the recipient of the Andrew Fusco Media Award, Mel Thomas. From the class of 2020, driver inducted, driver of the number 20, Brett Hearn. From the class of 2023, the Women in Racing recipient, Lori Fallis. From the class of 2023, the Andrew Fusco Media Award recipient, Patrick Donnelly. And from the class of 2024, driver inductee, Gary Tompkins. How about a round of applause for all our recipients here with us tonight? And how about a round of applause for the ladies and gentlemen that are our recipients of our awards and our driver inductees for 2025. The Northeast Dirt Modified Hall of Fame is a very special place to many of us. And to remain special, it takes many people who are dedicated to its preservation. Would you please help me recognize 3 individuals, because without them, we would not be able to do the things that we do. Owner, Al Hankey, promoter and general manager of Weesport, Jimmy Phelps, and business manager, Betsy Angelone and her staff. And a huge thank you to Weesport Speedway for sponsoring the happy hour reception. And how about a round of applause for all the volunteers from Weesport Speedway that are here helping us out tonight. And don't forget, the party is just getting started, because after the ceremony here tonight, we invite everybody to the after party at the pavilion at the racetrack over by the Portside Pub at the conclusion of tonight's ceremonies. It's not easy as a selection committee to come up with the award winners and the drivers that are inducted each and every year. It takes a very special group of people with a lot of knowledge, a lot of passion, a lot of time, and a lot of dedication to put this together. And I would like to recognize at this time the Hall of Fame Selection Committee and board members. Our chairperson, Buffy Swanson. Our historian and Central New York correspondent and board member, Gary Spade. Our treasurer and Northern correspondent and board member, Gary Rowe. Our Southern Regional correspondent, Lenny Sammons. Also serving as a Southern Regional correspondent, Steve Barrick. Central New York correspondents, Joe Murata. Also representing Central New York, myself, Shane Andrews. Our Western PA and Ohio correspondents, Brian Spade. And also representing Western PA and Ohio, Walt Weimer. Our legal counsel, Adam Fusco. And last but definitely not least, our museum curator and board member, Jack Spino. We would also like to recognize our board members, Rich Appleby, Harry Alkema, Pam Forney, Jeff Haddon, Jamie Moore, and Corey Reed. Thank you. Now, this portion of the program is where I'm supposed to stand up here and show you the Hall of Fame program. But somebody is in his infinite wisdom after his second beer left it in his briefcase. I'm not going to point any fingers. I'm not going to name any names, but I'll tell you who it was. It was me. We have a program here tonight with a lot of great sponsors, some great photos, some great stories about all of our award recipients and our inductees here tonight. There it is, right there. Ooh, right on cue. Wow. Thanks, Steve. Oh, this is mine? Thank you. The one thing that I was really worried about in the program, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, when I was getting dressed tonight, I was thinking, damn, I hope I didn't wear this shirt last year. Fortunately, I didn't. But please, pick up a copy of this program. It supports the Hall of Fame. Like I mentioned, there are some great sponsors in here that are mentioned that support us. Thank you very much. So please, make sure you get a copy of the program for 2025. We have a very special guest here with us tonight, and we'd like to take the time to introduce them and make you aware of what they have for you this evening. We would like to say hello to our friends from Auto Racing Research Associates, or AARA. Fred Voorhees, once again, has gone above and beyond with his research and dedication in preserving the history of drivers and sanctioning bodies. Fred has compiled the stats for tonight's drivers, including Dwayne Howard, Dale Plank, Billy Van Pelt, and Gene DeWitt car owner recipient Vinny Salerno. Copies of their stats are available here tonight, right over to my right, so make sure you get a copy of that. Thank you very much, Fred, and your entire staff for everything that you do in supporting the Hall of Fame. Now, Fred, you're getting an award tonight.
What do you know?
Who keeps your stats? Do you have your own stats over there? Karen does? Yeah. She can tell you every race that you've chased, been to, every countless hours and everything?
Some stuff I probably wouldn't want told.
We'll save that for the after party. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's time to start our official ceremony for 2025. And our first award tonight is our Outstanding Women in Racing Award. This award recognizes the dedication, desire, and talents to make our sport thrive in so many ways. Behind the scenes, if you will, to be awarded for dedication, perseverance, and a love of our sport. To introduce the recipient of our Outstanding Women in Racing Award, would you please welcome a longtime friend, not only of mine, but also in motorsports, to say a few words about our recipient, Sue Patrick.
Wow, okay. Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to all the 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. It is my absolute pleasure to come here to this beautiful museum every year and feel the excitement, share the memories, and so many people that have been honored, remembered, and celebrated. It is through amazing accomplishments and selfless contributions to our beloved sport that brings everybody here tonight and every year. If only these walls could talk, what great stories one would hear. When I got the call from Buffy to introduce this year's Women in Racing Award, I was thrilled. This year we will celebrate Jane Sella for her unending contributions to auto racing through her lens. I had always admired her as we are close in age, and she was doing her thing week in and week out, loving every minute of it, just as I did. This was all passion for our sport, and I love seeing another woman getting the job done and making it look easy. Both of us grew up in racing, and that is where the similarities began. For myself, it was with my parents, Donna and Norm, along with my siblings, publishing Gator for over 50 years. Jane grew up with her parents, much in the same way, but they were race fans. She grew up in Connecticut and then continued on through the Northeast with her family, watching races week in and week out. So many miles we both have shared. We both got older, and driving a race car was something we both really would have liked to do. For me, that wasn't going to happen. But Jane's brother, he got to race. Jane herself wasn't as lucky, so she figured she'd start her own little thing. So she decided to pick up a camera, learn the art of taking pictures, developing, doing all those fun stuff, and really just totally enjoyed it. There was no benefit out of it. None of our photographers ever got paid. They did it because they wanted that shot. They were creating memories. They wanted that front page. Well, Jane got right to it after taking a quick course in school, processing film. As we all know, many years ago, that's how it all happened. It wasn't as simple as it is today, even though today is not simple at all, okay? My experience in the darkroom was very short-lived. I walked into the darkroom. My father introduced me to everything. We played around with chemicals. I said, okay, Dad, I got this. It wasn't 3 minutes, and my father said, get out of there. I flipped on the light, and that was my foray into the darkroom. So it is quite a talent to learn how to do that and watch an image come to life and really see what you captured. It's amazing, that journey is. So she has continued all these years, taking all these pictures, and she always chose to take the pictures of what looked good to her, what meant something to her. It wasn't necessarily an action shot, a couple cars side by side. She wanted something very distinct. She enjoyed doing it when the guys were watching her. She really enjoyed it when they weren't watching, where she could get a glimpse into what was going on in our action. It became like 3-4 rolls a night was an average of what she would take the time to shoot. She'd go home, develop, and things took off from there. She got introduced into it, kind of by force a little bit, by Bob Perrin, and joined his team at Orange County taking pictures for him. She was actually given her first press card by Lenny at Area Auto in 1984. Then she started traveling. Oh, the whole world opened up to her. She actually spent a lot of time up here, right here at Weedsport. She would come in, spend the whole weekend going racing, shooting pictures, developing film, dropping them off at Gator on her way through, and back home to Connecticut to get to work on Monday morning. So that is an example of total devotion. That's what this is all about. This is why we're gathered here tonight. One fun fact that I didn't know, Jane and I both have a great love of Jack Johnson. She was just treated so great by Jack in the very early beginnings. It was tough. There wasn't a lot of women involved, and she made her way. She did great. She acted like a lady and was very respected. So what a proud moment for you, and what a great mentor in Jack that you had. Everybody loved Jack. While her brother's racing career was short-lived, Jane's career still lives on today. She still goes racing on a regular basis. She and her husband, Harry, her family, they all go together. Harry and Jane talk about what she should be doing, what she shouldn't be doing. And Jane is like, I got this. Jane probably goes off on her own, does her own thing. She just loves every minute of it. So for myself, I would personally like to thank you, Jane, for what you have always done for us at Gator. It meant a lot to us. My father would be very proud of you, so thank you. Our trades would have never existed without the likes of you and everyone else, and many of you are in this room tonight, who helped make it for what it was for all of us. So for myself, my family, Lenny and his family, we thank you. Congratulations, Jane, for your contributions to our wonderful sport, and welcome to these hallowed grounds that racing built and are so well cared for by Jack Spino, along with Al Hankey, and the rest of the volunteers who make this special. Thank you all for being here, and congratulations, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the podium the recipient of the Outstanding Woman in Racing Award, Jane Sella.
All right, as most of you know, I am not used to speaking, I'm used to shooting. So forgive me if I stumble a little bit. But wow, isn't this something? I never could have imagined that with my love of photography and racing put together that I would have made it this far, to be in this room with all these amazing, amazing people that are here and on the walls before me. I want to thank the Northeast Dirt Modified Hall of Fame members for the vote and for everything you do here. It's truly, truly fantastic and a great thing. I have a few people to thank for this. Bob Perrin for getting me started. And yes, it was not so much on my part as it was forced into it. Lenny Salmons and your family, Susie and your family, you all treated me great. Steve and Pam, everything you did for me at Orange County with PDI. For all the opportunities and privileges you afforded me over the years so I could do what I love to do. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here. I have to say a thank you to all the car owners, the drivers, the pit crews, and everybody that makes this happen. Without all of you, none of us, media, would get to do what we do. And I have to thank my family for putting up with my absence when I went chasing racing instead of being around for parties and celebrations at home. My daughter Kim for being stuck with a babysitter when I'm out chasing racing and doing what I wanted to do instead of being home with her. Now she's married to a racer herself and raising a little racer. I have to thank my loving husband for expanding my horizons and diversifying my portfolio. Hence the NHRA vest over there. We may have many different styles and methods for shooting, but we help each other out all the time. And as a quote from one of our drivers up here, Jimmy Horton once said, "You're always learning something out there, and when you stop learning, your career comes to a standstill." I might be slowing down, but I'm still learning, and I'm not done yet. I'll be back, I'll be around, you'll see me and Harry, and thank you all very much. This is quite an honor.
Chairperson Buffy Swanson making the presentation to Jane Sella. Congratulations, Jane. And you know, you mentioned a couple of things in your speech, and the biggest thing that stands out to me is family. Not only your own personal family, but the family that you have in racing as well.
Yes, that's true.
It is, you know, it's, as we stand here tonight, how does this make you feel to receive this award?
Overwhelmed, very grateful, humble, totally shocked when Buffy gave me the call. Yeah, just completely overwhelmed.
I think one of the words that you forgot to mention, and I'll say it for you, is deserving. You do such great work and are such a great ambassador for our sport. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Shane.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Women in Racing Award recipient, Jane Sella. You ever been someplace, maybe in your car, at home, out in public, and you hear a song and it gets in your head and you can't get rid of it? Does that ever happen to anybody? Well, I've got one in my head. A flashback to my youth. For those of you that are old enough know where that come from, you get that joke. Our next award is the Andrew S. Fusco Award for Media Excellence. This award is in memory of longtime Dirt Motorsports legal counsel, racing journalist, and Hall of Fame advocate, Andy Fusco. Andy was a loving husband and father and successful lawyer who always remained grounded, and as a motorsports journalist who captured the true essence of the sport. Andy had a gift and shared this knowledge of love and passion for racing with all of us. Each year, we recognize an individual who shares all of these attributes that Andy Fusco demonstrated. To introduce the recipient of our Andrew S. Fusco Award for Media Excellence, please welcome an award-winning motorsports journalist and a member of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, Steve Barrick.
All of us in this room love automobile racing. Unfortunately, all too often, the statistics that govern automobile racing are poorly conceived or inaccurately done. Folklore becomes fact, legend becomes gospel, and hot air passes as truth when it comes to glorifying some of its heroes. The most preposterous claim that I've ever read was on behalf of Ralph De Palma, who won the 1915 Indy 500 and also won 3 races on the Moody Mile in AAA racing with the cars there. He said in his biography, which was repeated in his obituary published in 1956, that he won 2,557 races in 2,889 starts and ran a career of 25 years, meaning that he won a race on average, according to him, every 3 days for a quarter of a century. Earlier this year, an achievement record of, quote, over 700 wins, unquote, was and continues to be touted as fact without any attribution for Ray Hendrick, a very well-respected man in his own right, and an otherwise most worthy recipient of that Hall of Fame award, but his record is unproven and undocumented. Separating fact from fiction, debunking exaggerated claims, finding and publishing the truth is the mission of Auto Racing Research Associates, or ARA, a free online database supported by scores of contributors, accessed routinely by journalists in need of trusted information, accurately compiled and presented, and updated with absolute integrity. ARA was formed when Fred Voorhees, a lifelong race fan from Hunterdon County, New Jersey, who had written columns for Gator Racing News and stories for Flemington Speedway's Program Dynamics program, was moved by members of the then recently created Flemington Speedway Historical Society to document the racetrack's 85-year history, which he has done. That project stimulated Fred to chronicle the careers of his 3 all-time favorite race car drivers, Billy Pouch, Bob McCready, and Richie Evans. With assistance from fellow Flemington Speedway Historical Society members Bill Braga, who is here tonight, the late Bill Hanna, and myself, Fred's stats became part of an interactive forum created to share his work and like work of others, and Auto Racing Research Associates was thus born. What began as a vehicle to showcase the pet projects of the 4 ARA founders has, over time, mushroomed into a website with over 450 summary records of drivers and racetracks, submitted by dozens of statisticians across the United States and accessed by race fans from coast to coast and even worldwide. The ARA database is meticulously maintained and updated weekly by a man who views what he does as, quote, giving back to the sport I have so thoroughly enjoyed being a part of for so many years, unquote. Would you please welcome me now in welcoming the recipient of the Northeast Dirt Modified Hall of Fame 2025 Andrew S. Fusco Award for Media Excellence, the founder and president of Auto Racing Research Associates, Mr. Fred Voorhees.
Fred, we're going to step right over here so everybody can see our smiling faces. First and foremost, congratulations on this award. You embody what Andy embodied, the preservation and history of motorsports.
I did. I started going at 5 years old in 1963, and continued going to Flemington with my grandfather, and loved the sport. Fell in love with the sport right away. You would think a 5-year-old kid would be a handful for a grandfather, but it just captivated me, and been going ever since. In the early 90s, I grew up a Billy Pouch fan. There's a whole story behind that. But in the early 90s, I started, mulling his figures over in my head. I said, Jesus, he's getting up there near 500 wins. Decided to investigate his career. And I believe at the time it came up to date, it was 463. So we were there to celebrate his 500th win. While I was doing that, word got out. And as you said, Bill Braga's here somewhere. Bill, where are you at? Bill and his dad here, and Bill and I got together. His dad is a big Doug Hoffman fan. He was putting together Doug Hoffman's win list for his dad for his birthday, and he was getting a little time crunch, and he asked me for help. And we collaborated on that, and we got together and started doing mostly modified driver careers. I think we got to about 12 or 14 between us. And we decided to keep going. And we sat down once. We had a little luck with a gentleman, a Canadian gentleman, had a website, and he had his statistics on there. And he didn't keep it up to date, kind of. So we sat down with a hoagie, right, Bill, in my hometown in Ringo's, and decided to start our own website. And from there, it just mushroomed. We've got over 40 historians now, and I think representing 8 states and 2 Canadian provinces. And it's going well. It's going well. I retired in 2013 and decided that this sport, as you said, as Steve said, it gave me so many friends, so many memories, and so much excitement. I decided to dedicate my retirement to the statistics.
Not only is this a labor of love, obviously, but it also takes up an abundance of time. And you mentioned a few people. You couldn't do this by yourself, could you?
No, like I said, this award isn't just for me. It's for all the historians that are in our group. I couldn't do it without them all. We have some that are currently always have something on the fire. Some of them work, so they can't be as active in the research as some of us are. But we all do, put forth the effort. And again, it sounds like a cliche. They always thank their spouse, but it really is a reality. My wife, in the amount of time I put in the research and all the stuff I've done in the sport, not once I've heard a harsh word uttered about the time I put into it. So I wanted to really thank my wife. And as soon as Buffy let me know that I was receiving an award, the first thing I thought is, boy, I want my grandchildren there to watch that. And they're all here now over there, Josh and Maya. They're manning the table over there, but it's great. This is a great honor. Thanks for everyone who came out tonight. Thank you for all the fans who always stop by and say how much they appreciate the work. It means a lot.
Well deserved, Fred. Thank you for all that you do for preserving our history.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, making the presentation, Corey Reed. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our Andrew S. Fesco Award for Media Excellence recipient, Fred Voorhees. At this time, I would like to take this opportunity to turn the microphone over to our friend and also board member here of the Hall of Fame, Mr. Corey Reed.
Thank you, Shane. Welcome, everybody, on behalf of the board. Great crowd this evening, and a lot of familiar faces. It's really great to see so many people here supporting these great inductees and honorees tonight. So I'm doing a little homework. Usually it's Adam Fusco. Unfortunately, Adam couldn't be here to represent his father, who, of course, was a very good friend of mine. So it's an honor for me to stand in here for Adam on behalf of Andrew. Really, this is just about the Hall of Fame, and this is kind of our plea for help, so to speak. I want to welcome our board members here and thank our board members. They are here all volunteer, and they work their butts off to keep this place open and keep this stuff happening. I walk in here, I used to take it for granted. Now I come in here and I look at the portraits and I look at everything, and I do not want this to go away. And it takes everybody that's here to help keep this place going, because it's all volunteer. These folks do a great job. It's also funds from people out in the public. It's the raffles they have going on. It's the new chassis raffle they have going on for $100 a ticket. All that stuff, if you could see your way to help support that. If you see them at the racetracks, help them with that as well. Try to get involved, help people, tell people about this place, because we want it to stay here for a long time. As we know, times are tough. It's harder and harder to keep buildings open, harder and harder to keep things going. But when you walk in this place, there's something special. And we want to keep this here for a long, long time. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Corey. Our next award is the Area Auto Racing News Leonard J. Sammons Jr. Award for Outstanding Contributions to Racing. This award recognizes individuals who have gone above and beyond what we see when we come to the races. Contributions that have helped mold and change our sport for the better. To introduce our recipients, please welcome a driver with over 100 wins and the all-time modified champion at Delaware International Speedway, H.J. Bunning.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight to introduce a couple whose journey in dirt track racing has inspired us all. Their passion and dedication to dirt track racing in southern Delaware has left an incredible mark on the state and the Northeast. I have several memories of Charlie and Joyce, from falling asleep in my mom's lap watching my dad race, to racing on the go-kart track that used to be in the infield, till I finally made onto the big track myself. From seeing Joyce in the ticket booth or the pit shack paying off at the end of the night while Charlie was making his laps on the grader, prepping one of the best surfaces in the Northeast. The Cathels has always been one thing: consistent. Consistency in dirt track racing is important and not always easy. Luckily for me, my family, and many others in Delaware, the Cathels' consistency in racing and each other has allowed many racers to fulfill their passion. Seeing Charlie almost my entire life meant we knew each other pretty well. We didn't always speak, most of the time we didn't, but we knew where each other stood, never doubting anything he said or did, a true man of his word. A Hall of Fame isn't just about victories, it's about character. The Cathels stand in that character and consistency. Myself and countless others thank you for all your contributions to dirt track racing, especially in Delaware. Congratulations, Charlie and Joyce.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the recipients of the Area Auto Racing News Leonard J. Sammons Jr. Award for Outstanding Contributions to Racing, Joyce and Charlie Cathell.
She wanted to show up Monday.
What's that?
She wanted to show up Monday.
Is that true?
What?
That you wanted to show up money?
What?
HJ just said something that just struck a chord with a few of us over here. Consistency and character. You guys, the two of you have personified that in motorsports. What has been the key to your successes?
It comes from my parents. They were both hardworking people, making sure everything was done correctly. They instilled that in both of us. And the honor with her tonight is so great because we both started in '63 before we were married. And she continued on, I've continued on. So we wore our bodies out. I got a little bit of brain left. I got a Radio Shack computer, if any of you are interested. And unfortunately, the storage area in that thing is full, so I can't put any more in there. But no, we followed Mom and Dad's routine. And racers like H.A., He's a family member. He's the second generation. He's got a third generation racing with us. And I noticed the other day there was a fourth generation in one of the arms. So that's what keeps our sport going in Delaware. With people like himself, his father, that no matter what happened, was there next Saturday night. We'd solve our differences and go on. So having customers like that is part of racing history to me. Having respect for people that work in our sport that gets no recognition whatsoever. My mom and dad were kind of quiet people. But I don't know where I got all my mouth from. It didn't come from them. I saw so many faces here that I've seen in years since we retired a little bit. I say a little bit. My son and his wife is now taking over, keeping the age going up and up and up of things being done to the racetrack. My grandson is close in proximity to what we do. He's in our neighbor. He's running Georgetown Speedway, so the Cassels are still involved in motorsports. But recognizing the people that are not recognized on a weekend, people that you never see. You may go to a drag strip. You never see the guy who cuts the grass. But if that grass is tall, you remember that. It's a grass that's not cut. They never get any recognition, whatever. It's like my wife. She did all the points for both places. Never asked for anything. Her salary was terrible. I don't know why she stayed with me. She first thought I had plenty of money when I met her. She has dug our backyard up and had no luck whatsoever. So.
Is that true?
No, then I found a little bit, and it went all to the children and grandchildren.
But anyhow, part of the theme here is talking about people that behind the scenes make things happen. You're asking people, in our case, for 58 years to give up your weekends. God knows I can't pay you what you're worth. That's for sure. So they do it out of love and faith and giving up every weekend with their kids and what have you, other things to do. We ought to be very thankful that those people love the sport that we're in. It's a great sport. It's a challenging sport. As challenges come every weekend, they kind of change every weekend at the same time. But people like that is what keeps our operation going. Now, if we could get a lid on Mother Nature, we would be doing real good for her. For some reason, she's got a kidney infection or something. You know, oh yeah, if you're a promoter or a racer, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not going to the women's restroom. It's going.
I don't think I have ever heard it put so eloquently, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll give you a quick one. One of the guys that are good friends with me down in Salisbury had a bad experience with a car dealership. And I wanted to be polite on Facebook. You know, you're supposed to be polite or you get thrown off. So I expressed on there that I'd received, you never will guess what it was, a bad sexual experience. And of course, he's a preacher. He said, Charlie, I can almost say that in town, in church. So to get back to a thing. I thank my mom and dad. I want to thank my wife for this. My son is and his wife Denise, and I've got a lot of friends up here. My sister. Let me tell you guys, if you have a sister like her, you ought to be thankful. She's made this experience a real experience up here today. I've got people that's been with me 50-some years. Gene Powell's been here. She came out today. My closest buddy, Doug Powell, wouldn't fly up with us. He doesn't like to fly. So she's taking care of him. Pep Lewis, which I met with Cam Barnes, and we were so fortunate with Cam Barnes. We held that show for 49 years. That's where I got real good friends with Pep. And at the year 49, it was moved to the Georgetown location. But I can say this, I knew Mr. Melvin Joseph personally. His favorite number was number 49. So if anything, we ended our career with Camp Barn Show with 49 wins for Mr. Joseph. You talk about things that we do in our sport. We hope that throughout the years we've added something to the sport rather than take it away. Racing is can be very temperamental at times. And years ago we used to run down with a sheet of paper with a real alignment on it and point here and here. Well, then we got to point back, but it wasn't the same finger that pointed back that we were pointing to. And so we worked with Radio Shack, and they had a small FM radio back then with a lock on it. And we required all the drivers put this on, the rubber duckies on the car and that thing. About 4 or 5 years later, here comes a receiver. Thank God for that. It's one of the greatest aspects that there is, I think, in our motorsport. The reason we didn't want two-way radios, we didn't think the answer back from the driver would be what we wanted to hear. I don't think. But my sister, my brother was part of this. If I forgot somebody, it wasn't on purpose. It just went off. I probably killed the mic. One thing that I think I can be thankful for, we watch a lot of races now on television. As you get old, that's what you do. You watch the races on TV. And my wife told me, she said, I wish there was one thing you would patent, son. I said, what's that? He said, the Delaware Start. And I'm proud that we were the ones that engineered that thing, I don't know, 30 or 40 years ago. So anybody ever wants where Delaware starting? In Del Mar, Delaware, were drivers like the Bunnings and all those throughout the feature. So we're proud of that. I would like to thank all my guests there, Tommy Elliott, Debbie Elliott, they're up here, drove up here. My son drove up here today.
Grandson. Your grandson.
A grandson, Chad's out there, yeah. He drove up here. I told you that's part of your members stick. And when I looked at Buffy's list, and I realized I was getting close to the top of being old. And I think I shared with him a while ago, some guy came up to me and said, boy, you look good. I went and replaced every mirror in the house. And it ain't the mirrors, guys. I can tell you that. It ain't the mirrors. Thank you.
All night.
Joyce didn't want to say anything to me. Charlie, congratulations. Would you please give a round of applause to the recipients of the Area Auto Racing News Leonard J. Sammons Jr. Award for Outstanding Contribution for Racing, Joyce and Charlie Cathell.
I want to thank my favorite girl, Buffy, over there. She looked up the old age list and said, sure it's time. So thank you, Buffy.
Tell you what, he's a tough act to follow. How about a round of applause for Charlie and Joyce Cassell, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to stay with me for a long time. Mother Nature. Our next award of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is our Mechanic Engineering Award, recognizing some of the most talented individuals who are not behind the wheel. Individuals who have been able to tune a race car to make it go that much faster. A true talent to be able to watch a driver on a track and know exactly what the race car is doing without a single word ever being spoken. The ability to make someone go that much faster. To introduce our recipient of the Mechanic Engineering Award is someone who can speak firsthand on the talents of our award recipient, a championship-winning car owner who has a great eye for talent. Please welcome to the podium, Brian Madsen.
Boy, after that speech, I can't mess this up. Good evening. First off, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees into this year's Hall of Fame. Each are well-deserving of this honor. I personally want to congratulate Vinny Salerno for his induction. Not only are you a family friend, you're also been and still are a very important part of my race team. Congratulations. Now for Thomas Conroy. When Tommy first asked me to present him into this year's Hall of Fame, all I could think about, why would he ask me? What have I ever done to deserve an honor like this? So without hesitation, I accepted. Then I realized, oh crap, I got to fly home from Aruba. But thank you, Tommy, I'm very humbled by this. I could stand here and talk about all the wins, championships, and success Tommy has achieved, but that would bore everyone, because it's a lot. I could tell stories, but unless you're in the moment, it isn't the same. Like at the Quaker Steak and Lube in Syracuse after winning a small block race, and the whole team led by Tommy is downing lube tubes. The night before the biggest race of the year, and all I can think about, how am I going to get everybody to bed on their curfew? What I am going to share is a few points on how Tommy has been successful. What Tommy has done from the beginning is surround himself with good people. And in life, if you surround yourself with good people, good things always happen. First, with the blessing of his parents, Terry and Steve, Tommy started his racing adventure. First with Dick Hicks. Dick took him under his wing, teaching him the fundamentals of race cars, from building them to fabricating them to rebuilding parts and everything in between. Then that took him to the Matson Motorsports team with the car driven by Brett Hearn. Here, Tommy learned the ins and outs of a full-time race team, from detail in the shop to winning on the track. And during the time when Brett was driving for Vinny as well, Tommy not only worked in Brett's shop during the day, he went home and worked on Vinny's track at night. And I do say home because he was living there as well. Vinny probably is the sole person that took Tommy to the next level as being a race car mechanic. From there, he took all the knowledge he had learned through the years, surrounding himself with the right people at the right time to eventually be the head mechanic for Jessica and Stuart Friesen's race team. And boy, what a career move that was for him. What a combination they are. One thing a couple years ago at Eastern States weekend after a win of Stewart's, this one guy that was trying to get interviewed by Tim Pitts kept on saying, this isn't about me. This isn't about me. Go find Tommy. He is the one that works his butt off. Go talk to him. Yes, Tommy works his butt off day in and day out. He does sacrifice from Kalen Carson, but it all goes back to the beginning. Surround yourself with good people. And Tommy always surrounded himself with good people, especially Jay Castamore. Jay taught Tommy there's a whole other side of racing, and that is tire preparation. This is something that many people don't understand and probably never will. And Jay, you'll find your place here sometime soon. I know I've only mentioned a few names, but there are countless of others who played a hand in Tommy's career. Before I wrap up, I got a text today from Stuart Friesen, and he asked me to share a few things in his absence. So here it is. First off, congrats to everyone here on your Hall of Fame awards. Dwayne, you are one of the most intense competitors I've ever raced against. When I was able to be your teammate on the BPG team at the Sixer, that was one of the coolest moments of my life. To the Plank family, you know what Dale meant to me, and his advice will always live on in my heart. I love you guys. Billy, what you have accomplished in your career is nothing short of remarkable. Vinny, your wisdom and attention to detail will go unmatched amongst this group. Charlie and Joyce, it's always refreshing to go to Delaware to see you, and I appreciate your long friendship with the Friesen family. Fred and Jane, thank you for your contribution to the sport. We love you all so much. I'm proud of my brother Tommy to be honored with you all as part of this group. Tommy and I first met back in the early 2000s when he was a big part of the Matson team. When Brian fired me at the end of the 2005 season, The Matsons still had a soft spot for me, and I was a frequent visitor to the BH hauler, borrowing whatever wasn't tied down as it bounced around the circuit. This is where Tommy and I first started crossing paths, borrowing parts and pieces during the day, and with our shared love of post-race shenanigans, we hit it right off. When Tommy officially joined the Hallmark team in 2017 or so, we were able to hit the ground running. I remember coming into the t-shirt shop one day and mentioned to Terry and Jess about how great it was to have Tommy on the team. Terry turned and looked at me and said, "I told you my kid knows his shit." As proud as him of his racing accomplishments, I am more proud of my buddy as he's grown into a great husband and a father. As racers, we're always looking ahead to the next one, but today is a moment to reflect on the big checks and the trophies you've hidden on the shelves in the shop. One of Tommy's unique traits is he can speak broken English better than most French people. And I can't help but laugh at all the years you've taken off so many tech inspectors' lives. I love the lucky hats, dirty mud covers, and first place coolers. Nobody can do it like Tommy. I love you, bro. It's all about the windshield. With all that being said, it's my honor to present my friend Thomas Conroy for the 2025 Mechanic of the Year Hall of Fame recipient.
So do I address you now as Tommy, Thomas, or Mr. Conroy?
Tommy's fine.
Okay, thanks, Tommy. Hey, we're going to play a little trivia here, okay? What does Tommy Conroy have in common with the following names? Kisaki, Tremont Sr., DeSarbo, Phillips, Taylor, Hoffman, Bobby Hearn, and Troyer.
I guess today we all are on the same list.
Absolutely, man.
That's a list we can actually read.
Yeah. That is an impressive list of people that have received this award. And now you are one of them, man, for the outstanding work that you have done. How does this feel?
I don't know. I'm still kind of in shock, I guess. I mean, I grew up. I'm really not that old, but I am old. I mean, look at my hair. I mean, but
your hair looks great.
Yeah.
Can you fix me up with something like that?
Yeah, well, you know.
Work some magic for me, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I can necessarily help you there, but I mean, I grew up watching Scotty and Randy and Charlie, and you know, never really thought I could be to that level. But like Brian said, I surround myself with the right people, and I necessarily didn't choose those paths. I can't say I ever asked somebody to go to work, you know what I mean? But I just try to stay dedicated to everything that I do, and as Vinny says, there's no days off. Rainouts, you work harder. So you just, yeah, I'm just gonna try to keep on keeping on, I guess.
What's been your motivation over the years working with so many great teams, great drivers, car owners, and individuals?
You just want to win, to be honest. I mean, second place sucks, and we finished second Tuesday. I was pretty frustrated, you know, and then we were able to back it up yesterday with a win. So, you know, you just try to strive to keep being the best you can be.
What's that one moment in all of racing with everybody that you've worked with that stands out in your mind that you're the most proudest, that you're the most proud of?
Dirt Week last year, I mean, I gotta say, I mean, you can't ask for anything better. We led every lap, set quick time, won our heat race, and that's what you strive to do, and it's very, very hard to do that. Don't get me wrong, I was nervous. I was pacing around, and I really thought we were gonna get a flat. I was sick and tired of the yellows. I don't know if Corey was on the radio that day, but I was pretty frustrated, and but no, everything worked out good.
A lot of folks you've crossed paths with over the years. I'm sure there's some folks you want to mention and thank.
Yeah, I got to thank my dad, my mom, my Uncle Gerald, Dick Hicks, the Matson family, the Wilder family. I would say, well, now I'm saying I'm going to start starting like Stu. You want me to say for sure?
For sure.
You know, I've been around Vinny. I mean, Vinny, I lived at his house. We've had some arguments, you know, but we're very similar. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But I learned a lot from everybody that I ever worked with, you know. I try not to, I don't say, I try to look at everything the way you could do it, the easiest, the most efficient way. And oh, my daughter. Oh, hi. Hi. And I got to thank my wife and my daughter Kayla and my in-laws and my parent, like I said, my parents and Jay Castamore for, honestly, with Brett's team, he asked if I wanted to come and help learn how to do tires, and that's originally how I started. And then one day he's like, "You want to come race in a weed sport?" And I think that was probably the first series race I did with Brett. And we led up to like 5 to go, and Alan Johnson rolled by us. But that's how it goes sometimes.
Well, I just want to echo the sentiments of your mom. You do know your shit, man.
That's what she says. I mean, I try not to, I try to just, do what I can do, I guess. And, I really appreciate everyone's help that tries to come and help with the car. Berkey, Jay, and Mike Mancini's here somewhere, and my brother-in-law Jarrett. But they also all know that if they're not there, it's still going to get done. So the help is very much appreciative. So.
Well-deserving, Tom. Enjoy the moment, and congratulations.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane.
Corey Reed making our presentation. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, our Mechanic Engineering Award recipient, Tommy Conroy. How's everybody doing? Doing good? Having a good time? Something I forgot to ask before we got started tonight to our award recipients and our inductees. Does anybody need to go tinkle right now? Okay. Everybody good? You're hydrated? You're all good? Okay. All right. Anybody else? Just, Dave Farney's here. He can proctor for a moment if we need anything. The Gene DeWitt Car Owner Award is presented each year to an individual or partnership that has excelled in the ownership ranks of modified racing. Like Gene himself, these owners are the backbone of keeping some of the most legendary drivers behind the wheel. Car owners are more than just the money. They are the coach, a cheerleader, the motivator to the driver and teams. Without the owners, many drivers would not have had the chance to have a Hall of Fame career. To introduce the Gene DeWitt Car Owner Award recipient, please welcome one of his former drivers who seemed unbeatable in his cars. Please welcome Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 2020, Brett Hearn.
Well, I want to congratulate all the honorees and inductees tonight, first and foremost. Some very deserving people for sure. And I want to tell you that I walked up here today to the pavilion back there, and the first thing Buffy said to me wasn't, "Hello, how are you?" was, "Keep it to 5 minutes." That's just the kind of ship that she runs, right? But I'll tell you, it is really incredible. Before I talk about Vinny a little bit, it's incredible to see Tommy Conroy get that award tonight, because here's a guy that came right out of high school and came to help me and was so hungry to win races and learn, and now to see what he's done now and where he is today, and the things he's doing with Stewart are just incredible. But when I tell you the story about Vinny, it'll kind of all fit together, because that's where we all started together. First of all, I think my story with Vinny begins around 2004, 2005, the winter of, and I reached out to a mutual friend of ours, and I had been admiring Vinny's performance with his cars and drivers at Middletown for a while, and his cars were always so nice, and they were always so fast. They looked really well prepared. And at that time in my career, I was looking for a new small block situation. So I reached out to our mutual friend, and I said, "Do you ever think that Vinny would think about maybe traveling on and maybe do the small block series, dirt series, or maybe even Malta on Friday night?" And the word was passed along to him, and with some reluctance, I think, and I don't really think that we were really good friends. We hadn't really had a lot of conversations about racing or anything like that. We may have been acquaintances at best. And I think that at the time, there was some reluctance, like, I don't know if I could afford that. I don't know if I can dedicate the time to it. But lo and behold, literally like months later, we were putting sponsorship together and building cars and making a plan to go to Malta. on Friday nights and then do the series. And quickly, there was a bond that we had together that we kind of spoke the same language about a lot of things. And I love the detail in his cars. And, Vinny always gave me the confidence to know that his cars were as good as they could be. I couldn't do any better for myself. And that's where we began. And we really formed a really, really tight racing bond and a good friendship right off the get-go. And the success just followed quickly, very quickly. The story behind the scenes was, and I'm going to get to this a little bit because I think that, in my career, I always said that, when you race with a full-time racer, it's not really a job. It's really a lifestyle. Anybody that races a lot of races knows it's a lifestyle. There isn't a lot of time to do a lot of other things. It is pretty much all about racing and racing and racing. So it wasn't too long after we first got together, Vinny and I got together, that Andrew Phillips, who was my crew chief at the time, and Tommy came on board. And I thought that in the beginning, I thought Vinny had his own guys and he had his own team, and that would be kind of taking care of itself. And we could all concentrate on my big block program at BH Racing and with Madsen Motorsports. And what happened was the guys that were working for me became so friendly with Vinny that we sort of melted together into one family. And my guys sooner than later moved up to Vinny's house. Now, what these guys did was they worked at my place from 9 in the morning until 5 at night. Vinny would promise them dinner at the shop, and they would go to his house, and they worked for dinner at his house, and they lived there. And so when you talk about racing as a family, you talk about racing day and night. That's what these guys did. They were both, Andrew and Tommy were both very hungry, very young, had a lot of energy. It's exactly what I needed as a driver. And Vinny was their mentor at night. I was their mentor during the day. And that's the way that Vinny operated. Now, behind the scenes of this frat house that Vinny had going on, there were some stories. And believe it or not, a lot of the stories I was never told because they knew I wouldn't like the stories. And there was probably we can't talk about it. 5 years ago, Tommy came up over to my house, and Michael Storms, Ryan Van Orden came to the house. I don't know if anybody else is there, but we went through about 2 cases of beer, I think. And man, those stories really came out. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But yeah, so that's how it all went. But I think that the most impressive thing that, if I was to say, what do you as Vinny is a car owner who's still competing today on a high level, there aren't too many of these car owners left. But I think that the thing that really impressed me as a driver with Vinny was not only his attention to detail, but he ran a business during the day. He had a business that ran every day, and he had to be there. Whether we got home at 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning, he would run this business. And somehow he's such a great organizer. He was able to have people pick up parts over here, washing cars over there. He would take care of all this stuff. So when these guys came in at night, they were ready to go to work or go to race. And I think that was probably the most ultimately impressive thing that I've ever seen him do. And he's still doing it today, which is incredibly, just incredible. But our record together, I've been told, was about 200 races we ran together over 4 years. We won almost 40% of those races, like 77 races, which, that number is just off the charts. I want to thank him for everything he did for me, and I really would like to say congratulations to him. He's very deserving of this award. Come on up, babe.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Gene DeWitt Car Owner Award recipient, Vinny Salerno. When I first started out on the Super Dirt Series and that 4-star would pull into the pit area, I always made my rounds. And I want to compliment you on something, Vinny, that I've met a lot of car owners over the years, race teams, etc., but you were always the most welcoming to any race, when I stepped into your trailer, you always took the time to give me 5 minutes to talk to you at any racetrack, no matter how busy you were. So thank you very much from that perspective. You truly are a class act when it comes to representing our sport, and I wanted to tell you that here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it, but it must have been early on in the night.
Well, I never got to troll the pits when the feature was going, so.
Yeah.
Congratulations. This is a great award. How does it make you feel to receive this award for all that you have done in motorsports?
Well, it makes you feel good to be recognized. I mean, you do it because you love the sport. Like, you never think about winning awards. You just want to win races. But before I say anything else, I just want to wish my fiance a happy birthday. She's 50 today.
50. Happy birthday. Can we get a happy birthday on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. She didn't know that was coming, did she?
Not a clue.
Not a clue. She don't look a day over 28.
I agree.
You lucky dog, you.
I totally agree. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. My glasses are fogging up.
That's why I keep mine on my head.
I can't help you with the hair situation either.
Any advice?
No.
Suntan lotion? No. Nothing? Sunblock?
Nice. No.
Do you put Rain-X on yours when it rains? I do.
No, it comes natural.
Yeah.
I'm Italian. I got oily skin.
You know, they say that God only made a few perfect heads. The rest he gave hair.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Throughout your career, you've had a lot of great drivers behind the wheel of that 4-star. Is there a particular moment as a car owner that stands out to you, your proudest accomplishment?
I probably got 3 of them with 3 different drivers. And the first win at Syracuse with Brett, which was a great win. It's my first win there. His first win in a long time. Second was Syracuse with Timmy. That was Timmy's first win. He never won there. And last year with Anthony at the last race at Charlotte, the finale there, we won that. That was a great win too.
Seems to be today that there's not a lot of car owners anymore, or guys that want to pony up to keep the race teams going. What's been the key to your success?
I think I just work hard. Like, I don't want to be a car owner. I want to work on the stuff. I want to be a crew chief or mechanic. I like doing it. I want to win races. But it's hard to find people to pay for it, so you got to work harder to pay for it.
Any advice to anybody sitting in the room or that comes up to you at the track when they say, hey, what do I got to do to get into this game and be successful?
Well, my first word of advice would be buy a boat. That'd be probably a lot more fun, but you just got to get in the trenches, and like Tommy says, and I said, there's no days off. Like, there's just never a day off. If there's a day off, you got to be doing something else. I mean, Anthony and I changed 3 axles on a trailer this week. Like, you're always doing something. It never stops. But you just got to work hard. It'll come.
Anybody you want to mention and thank tonight?
Well, my family, Beth and Matthew and Brian Madsen and Brett. And I mean, Michael Storms is here. Scotty's a good friend of mine. Andrew Phillips. I don't want to forget anybody, but Tommy, like, just everybody. Like, you're aware when I got out of racing in 16 because I was burnt out. Well, when I got out of racing, I lost all my friends. Like, that's basically what brought me back. You know, the sport brought me back, but all your friends are in racing. So that's why I love racing.
Well, you're a well-liked guy and a well-respected guy and deserving of this award. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Shane. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Vinny Salerno, ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of our Gene DeWitt Car Owner Award, Steve Barrick, Hall of Fame committee member, to make our presentation. How about a round of applause one more time for Vinny Salerno, ladies and gentlemen. And Vinny, I want to jump on your coattails about the friends in racing. You know, as many of you are well aware, I have cut back considerably on my announcing duties over the last couple of years, and people come up to me all the time and ask me, do you miss it? And I'll be perfectly honest with you. What I miss is the people. The relationships that I've made, the friendships that I've made over the years. Vinny, you're absolutely right. It's what keeps you involved in this sport. And so glad that you're still involved and that all of you are involved. Remember, we're one big racing family. We may have our differences, but at the end of the day, we all have one common goal in love, and that is racing. You ready? You look ready. You're not nervous, are you? Billy, Leslie, Mr. Howard? Ready to go? Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to introduce to you our first inductee into the Hall of Fame for the class of 2025. He followed in his brother's footsteps and right into the seat of the family-owned modified. Little did anyone know at that time, but a career and the dominance that he would establish would lead him to the Hall of Fame. To introduce our first inductee is an individual who watched this all unfold over the years as the big brother to our inductee. Please welcome an accomplished wheelman in his own right, the 1987 358 Modified Series champion, Kurt Van Pelt.
Good to see you. You bet. Some tough acts to follow, that's for sure. First of all, congratulations to all the inductees. And gone too soon, Dale Plank. Had a lot of fun racing against him in '94 at Dundee. Thanks, Shane.
That's what I'm here for.
It's with great honor I get to introduce the next inductee. But before that, I have to mention our dad, Jim Van Pelt. If it wasn't for his hard work and dedication, there probably wouldn't have been a Van Pelt Racing, and the dominoes that have fell may never have got us to this point tonight. That being said, I'm very proud to be able to call Billy my brother. He started out as the kid, because he was just a kid. Later, he became BVP. When he started, he'd race anything. Hot Wheels in the driveway, till Susan hit on him. Bicycles, motorcycles, three-wheelers and snowmobiles, which he was very successful with. He even had his own packing car at Whitesville. Couldn't wait to get in a race car. He started his career in '87 when I moved away from the family car to drive for the Sherwood family. First year to say Billy was a little unbridled, that's an understatement. The veterans would come up to me and say, "You got to talk to that boy." Billy's answer would be, "I'm on the track. I'm going to pass the car in front of me. It doesn't matter if it's hot laps." I know Dad and Tony, they'd have to hold their breath during hot laps if he got close to the neighbor boy. There's that one wasn't going to let the other one pass the other. And one night, after hot laps, they both come in on the hook. But as his rookie season continued, and by season 2, he was winning races, and those veterans had trouble keeping up with him. And by his third season, he'd won his first of 23 Woodhull championships. He's won at least one, if not more, points titles for each of his full-time car owners. Our dad, Jim, Ted White, Grant Hilfiger, and Kevin and Karen Chilson. Some of my fondest memories, racing against him, being his co-crew chief with my brother Tony, where we helped guide him to a record-setting 11 features in a row at Woodhull, and then being his teammate. Billy's one of those guys that could take any car and put it to the front. Didn't matter if it was perfect, he'd find a way to make it go. When he ran the Tobias Speedsters, he'd come in after hot laps. They'd ask him what he needed. "Yeah, you'll be all right, I'll figure it out." And he did, winning races at Dundee and Redline. He's got to be one of the most unselfish racers there are in the pits. Everybody knew if he needed something, some help, some advice, parts, you went and seen Billy. He had no secrets, no miracle set up, some folks would believe. He's always helping anybody that needed it. Somebody had a problem, got tore up, he'd work on their car, help them get ready for the feature. He's helped many racers find their way to victory lane. He loves competition. Always said, could make him faster, make them faster, it could make him faster. Racing for Billy and our whole family's made us a lot of friends over the years. There's people we'd have never met had it not been for racing, and those friendships continue today. When Billy decided to hang his helmet up, he quit on his own terms. He went out on top of his game. And in closing, again, I want to congratulate all of tonight's inductees and the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame for this event. If you ask Billy who his hero is, he'll tell you his oldest brother. Billy, you're not only my brother, you're my hero. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the newest member of the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame, Billy Van Pelt.
That was tough.
Something that stood out to me in everything that Kurt said is that you raced for car owners. You never owned your own car, have you?
Never. Started driving for my dad, and when he said he was ready to hang it up, Ted White bought the car. We went to West Rogers, and he loaned us the motor until we could pay for it. And Ted and I kept going on, and my brother-in-law, Dwayne, he worked on the car at the time. We started winning races and building it up. And then we ended up having a couple of cars. And I said to Kurt, I said, hey, we got 2 cars. Why don't you come race with us and come have fun? And we did. I mean, we went on a tear. I mean, the one year at Woodhall, we both, between the two of us, I think we only lost like maybe 2 races. But, you know, it was good. I mean, we had a great time together.
What's been the key to your success over the years? What has made you so good?
I don't know. I just love driving a race car. I mean, I got to watch my brother for years. I just loved passing cars. I just loved the race. I mean, like Kurt said, I started out on snowmobiles, and I went to 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers. And the funny thing is, when I raced 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers, people were giving me their stuff to race. You know, and it was just, you know, the only thing I probably did own was a go-kart and a 3-wheeler that I did own, but I drove everybody else's stuff. Anyway, when Ted bought the racetrack at Woodhall, Grant Hilfiger come to my rescue. And I got to run for Grant for 4 years. Well, actually, I drove for Kevin before that, run for Kevin for 4 years, and then I drove for Grant for another 4, and then back to Kevin. So, you know, all the people that I drove for just gave me unbelievable equipment, and we did the best that we could with it. And, you know, my dad, he put his heart and soul in it, and to be honest with you, he would buy parts, and he's a machinist by trade. He built all our old motors, and he would go to work, and he would take a brake bracket or a steering arm, and he'd make 5 more of them, so we had them. You know, that's how we raced. I mean, my dad was just awesome with his hands. He's an awesome mechanic, awesome engineer. So, you know, and I got to thank my brother Tony. I got to thank a lot of people. There's a crew of people, Larry, Shannon, Martin, Kevin and Karen have really stepped up a lot, done a lot for me. I got Jack out there. It really helped me a lot. Again, Grant Hilfiger, you know, a lot of these guys. And, you know, I also got to thank Terry and Nikki Brewer, the owners of Woodhall Raceway. They came tonight. Thank you very much. And
did you ever think, when you were behind the wheel of a race car, racing against a lot of these guys that are on this wall and knowing the history of the drivers, that you would be standing here one day being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Never. I never thought I would be here in this particular Hall of Fame, and it is a huge honor, a very huge honor.
And a well-deserving honor.
Well, thank you, Shane.
Are you ready?
I am.
Why don't we bring Kurt back up, and I'm going to call an audible here. What do you say we bring your dad up here too?
Sure.
Mr. Van Pelt?
86.
'86 years young here.
I never thought there'd be a day when my dad has longer hair than all three of his brothers put together. All three of his boys put together.
Gentlemen, if you would please, it is time to unveil. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame. Please welcome Billy Van Pelt. Gary Rowe will make the presentation. Give it up for these guys, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have you come right over here. Gary Rowe will make the presentation.
Thanks again. You're welcome. Congratulations. How you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Billy Van Pelt, newest member of the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame. If you wouldn't mind for just a moment, I want to take off my announcer's hat and I want to put on my race fan hat. As many of you know, through the history of modified racing in the Northeast, there was circuits that competed against each other for a number of years, dirt motorsports and the outlaw circuit. And before I got into announcing on a regular basis, I was a fan and frequented both circuits on a regular basis. For those of you that know a little bit about my history, my favorite driver of all time was Jack Johnson. But I had a second favorite driver as well, and he raced at the track that I grew up at, Utica Speedway. And every Sunday night, my family and I would sit up in turn number 4, and I would root for a particular driver by the name of Dale Plank. My first announcing job that I was hired for was at Skyline Raceway back in the early 90s. And I had the pleasure of announcing a race that Dale Plank won at Skyline Raceway. It was the very first time that I got to meet one of my favorites in Victory Lane, not as a fan, but as an announcer. This next presentation is very special, not only to the family, but to all of the people that are here, but as a race fan, special to me that I get to be involved in one of my favorites being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Our next inductee was simply known as the Natural. Born into a racing family and carrying on the family name and legacy, this driver proved his abilities against the best in the business in both the NASCAR Winston Racing Series and on the dirt car circuit. To introduce our next inductee is a driver who not only competed against our next inductee, but also literally grew up in the pits with him as their families raced against one another. Would you please welcome to the podium the general manager of the Weedsport Speedway and the driver of the HBR number 98H, Jimmy Phelps.
I can't mirror Brett, so I got to read this. I can't. Pretty impressive. Good evening. First off, congratulations to all tonight's honorees. I know we've all said it, but it's truly a special night, and you guys all really deserve it. Billy, I never got a chance to race a lot with Billy. Obviously, what he did in the Southern Tier, especially at Woodhall, absolutely outstanding. I did get to race with Dwayne. I'm not sure if you'd call it racing. I think pretty much it was more me waiting for him to drive by me, especially in Pennsylvania. Honestly, getting started, I was a big fan. He was a class act and just an unbelievable competitor. So congratulations to both of you. Vinny and Tommy, what can we say? I mean, you guys have mastered your craft. You're still kicking ass, and I mean, you're truly deserving of this. But tonight, we're here to talk about a kid named Dale Plink. I'm not gonna bore you with stats, as Brian mentioned earlier. I mean, everybody knows, the stats. Dale's won a ton of races, a ton of championships. His talent, his desire, the way he studied the sport of dirt modified racing has and will continue to speak for itself. I mean, not only in the record books, but in the successes of countless other racers that he's helped. Whether it be with setups, inspire them on or off the track. Whether he knew it or not, he did a lot of that. So that said, I'd like to take a trip back in time, probably before Shane Andrews even. I was probably 12 or 13 years old, like the late 80s, and at this point, I mean, I'm just a pit rat. I'm at the races every weekend with my family, and we're working on race cars. We're part of the outlaw circuit that Shane touched on. So obviously at that stage of my life, I'm hooked, and really at this stage of my life, I just want to know how we're going to race. I want to drive. I want to do this. Being from upstate New York, the outlaw circuit or Glenn Donnelly's dirt circuit were your two options. I'm sure there was more outside our region, but that's what we knew. To compare the two was truly David and Goliath. But nonetheless, they both had their stars. They both had a handful of guys who I considered my racing heroes. The one true constant back then was that at that age, or at least through the eyes of a 12 or 13-year-old, there was really no clear path to how you were become a modified race car driver. You just didn't see it back then, and the guys were established. They had already cut their teeth. At that age, they looked like they had been doing it forever. So as a young kid, the dream of getting started in the world of dirt modified racing really seemed unrealistic, at least to me. A kid named Dale Plank actually changed all that. Probably not just for me, but for a lot of people. I remember it like it was yesterday. If you guys have been to Fulton, there's a big hill that takes you up to the staging lane, and I can remember being parked there helping my uncle, and here comes this gorgeous 77X, and it's come rolling up through the hill. And now keep in mind, back in these days, these bodies were old style bodies. They didn't have nowhere near the tin. You could see the drivers, and still all you could see was the top of this helmet. The car looked fast, and it was impressive, but the first kind of thought through everybody's mind was, how's this kid gonna even see out of this thing, right? So nonetheless, I kind of laughed as I was writing this, because 20 years later, if you pulled up door to door with Dale, he still couldn't see out of the day. I have no idea how he still sat so low in the car. It was unbelievable. But anyway, I was like, what the hell? Like, this kid's gonna go out and mix it up with these guys, and I was hooked. At that point, I was quietly a Dale Plank fan, and I say quietly. I mean, I grew up in a racing family, and I wasn't going to wear a Dale Plank shirt to dinner, but I was because he was the competition, obviously. But I say I was paying attention, and now we're going back a long ways, and my memory isn't super clear on how long it took, but I know once he started winning, he was winning a lot. I know when it came to the outlaw circuit, in my opinion, Shane can back me up. It may have took a little time, but he was the GOAT. I mean, when it was over, Dale Plank was the GOAT of the outlaw circuit. He won a bunch of track championships, a ton of races. He went on to win, I think, 3 NASCAR Winston Regional Series championships, which was really, really cool. He grabbed a Victoria 200 back in the day when If your name wasn't Pouch, that just really wasn't supposed to happen. So he was pretty established pretty quickly, but like I said before, in those days, the path into the dirt sanctioned success really wasn't ultra definitive. I mean, many had tried, but I don't remember that many that found the success that he did. I mean, he just had this ability to adapt. Once again, from a young man's standpoint, he sort of paved the way for a generation of young guys, in my opinion, and proved to everybody that you can do this. He was able to swim in that big pond, so to speak. And in a very short period of time, he was winning both big block races, small block races. He grabbed some tour wins in both divisions, ultimately going on to a handful of 358 titles. So I was a Dale Plank fan. Even when he would show up at Fulton and just whip us on some random Saturday night, part of me always rooted for him, because I remember the hope he put into us young guys who assumed the mountain was just going to be too big to race against a Bret Hurt or a Jack Johnson or you have you. He sort of paved the way. Dale was probably one of the cleanest racers that I think I'd ever raced against, especially for a guy who wasn't going to give you an inch. I mean, he made you earn everything you got, but you didn't have to ever worry about him, running into the side of you, and that was always impressive. I mean, he studied the sport. He truly loved the whole technical challenge of the sport. I can remember stretches where he would noticeably be working on setup stuff. Maybe him and Kevin were working on engine stuff. It was hard to say, but they were just noticeably off a notch. And after the third or fourth time that happened, you sort of learn that, that's going to get backed up with he's going to whip you for about a month straight, and you're not going to have anything you can do about it till you figure it out. So always working on that side of things. I can honestly say I don't think he and some of the guys around him really got the credit for how good they are and for some of the advancements that they helped make with our kinds of racing here in Central New York. That's why I've been it's been so cool to see the success of Dig Race Products, a company Dale helped found with his son. I was fortunate to get to work with Dale for a handful of years prior to his passing as a customer. Always considered Dale a friend. As I've known him, we've known each other for, forever. We've raced in the same circles forever. But the opportunity to spend some time working on the same team, so to speak, was really special to me. First off, he was a huge help to me personally from the driving standpoint, and we could have conversations about anything, stuff, that happened 30 years ago, stuff that happened 5 minutes ago, and we seemed to relate to each other very well. But what was really remarkable to me, and something I just didn't expect from a guy who had such an esteemed driving career, was how passionate he was about helping others. Whether you'd been doing it for 30 years or whether you'd raced with him for 30 years or you're just starting out, if he was in your corner, his goal was to make you better. He loved helping customers and his friends succeed, and I cannot say enough about how inspiring and how incredible I found that to be. He just loved the sport. And once again, 30-some years later, he was still inspiring me. I think what he was really proving is that beyond ego, record books, checkered flags, the reason we're able to last in this sport as long as we can is because we love it. I know I forget that from time to time, as I'm sure a lot of you do too. And I can't thank Dale enough for reminding us all of that. And lastly, and if Dale were here, he would have started with this, I'm sure. It takes a good foundation to succeed at anything. We all know that. Dale's parents were great people. I had the pleasure of knowing them both. Without a doubt, the lessons he learned from Denny provided the path to Dale's success. Leslie, I don't even know where you are. You're a saint. Let's keep in mind that 40 years ago or close to, when that helmet came rolling up the hill that nobody could even see under the dash. Leslie was there. She's been there every step of the way. And I know Dale would agree, and he'd be the first person to tell this audience, if he was standing here, that she deserves this honor as much as he does. So congratulations. Steve and Brandon, I know how proud you were of your dad. I know how proud you are of your dad. Believe me, it doesn't compare to how proud he was of you both. I can assure you of that. So congratulations to you guys. It's been an honor to say a few words tonight. Dale was one of my racing heroes. I feel I speak for a lot of us in this room when I say that I'm proud to call him a friend, and we all miss him. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the podium, representing Dale Plank, his beautiful wife, Leslie. She'll be joined up here by Brandon and Steve, your wonderful sons. Leslie, what would Dale think of all this?
Just wow. He would have been so humbly and so grateful for the people around him and the people that just, he loved racing so much, and he was just the quiet one and the, like Jimmy said, rooting for everyone, whether it was the kids he was mentoring, the races that he was trying to win for his car owners, these kids, his family, his dad got him started in racing, and his dad was his hero, and they got to do it for many years together before he passed, and put on that love of racing into our kids in his family. And he would have just been so humbly proud and so humbly thankful for this honor. It's truly an honor.
We were talking earlier about how giving and caring Dale was. And Jimmy touched on that about towards fellow competitors, but we were talking on a different level in the family. As much as he was away, he was still always involved.
100%. Dale spent many years, traveling to the tracks and stuff like that, and the boys and I, we had to do our every day, and he, even though he was miles away, he was the most present father. He always cheered the kids on and myself on in our own ambitions. As much as we supported him, he supported us right back. And he made it easy to love. I knew he loved racing, and we all just kind of made a family dedication that we were where we wanted to be, was in this great racing community. And we have a lot of people to be thankful for that, to make that, his career happen. And I just lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. But bottom line is that he loved this racing, and we knew whenever he went away, he always made sure we knew that he loved us even more than he loved racing, and he would have given it up in a heartbeat if we ever asked. But we never asked, because we just jumped on board and wanted to be a part of his great, for him to shine, and for him to help so many people in the racing community beyond his own career as well, to keep the love of racing going.
He excelled on the track and off the track. And on the track, as Jimmy mentioned, the Victoria 200 win, the multiple track championships, the 358 Series championship, the 3 NASCAR regional championships. And over here to my left is a championship regional trophy that I think is a special presentation tonight.
Yes, on behalf of the children and I, we'd like to dedicate Dale's first NASCAR trophy to the Hall of Fame as a thank you for their presence in this great this. I look around this room and the history and the passion of racing, and would love to be a part and have Dale's story be a part of young racers and families coming up through racing and share his love of racing.
It's a story that needs to be told and will always be told here, as Dale is now enshrined on these walls of the Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to, we were blessed to have, our family car with his dad, but we've also had amazing car owners over the years. I won't mention them all, but we were blessed to be a part of every single ride that he was in, and the crew members in those rides, and our crew members that were, some of them are here. All of you know who you are, but you are every single car owner and pit crew member was very truly part of our family, and so appreciative of keeping him safe in his car going. So thank you.
Brandon, want to just say real quick, as you know, a big fan of your dad's, and watching him race and the things that he did, I'm sure that had to be an inspiration to both you and Steve to see how well respected he was.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really what kind of drove us to continue things with with Dig, and I think that there was a little bit of a crossroads of him curious what he was going to do kind of after driving, and I think that like Jimmy kind of touched on, it was really cool to see him kind of straddling that line between driver and kind of mentor or coach or maybe driving advice and or shock setup, whatever it may be, and obviously it's we wish he was here, and we miss him every day, and one thing that he kind of always emphasized, to me, to Steve, that this is a really humbling sport, and you can have a lot of success, and it can be gone in an instant too, and in a sport that's as humbling as this, to be recognized for your success and to be honored like this, I think if he were here, he would be gleaming with pride and joy, and as quiet as he may have been, right? So so just I guess I can kind of emphasize and speak on his behalf of a thank you, and it's a really big deal to be honored like this, and it's really special.
Well, without further ado, I would like to invite the three of you over to the plaque on the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, posthumously here tonight, we induct the driver known as the Natural. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame, Dale Plank. To make our presentation, Gary Spade will present to the Plank family his Hall of Fame plaque here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Leslie, Brandon, and Steve on behalf of their dad and husband, the Natural, Dale Plank. Couple of things I want to remind everybody about before our next inductee. Tonight, we are having the after party at the pavilion right after the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Also, at the conclusion of tonight's ceremony, would like to ask everybody that brought stuff in with you, if you could please take that out with you, and also just move the chairs back a little bit, and we'll assist as Lori Fallis. Where are you, Lori? She is someplace here. Lori, there you are. Lori is going to be coordinating our photos afterward for our award recipients and for our Hall of Fame inductees. We ask that you please stay around with your families as well for photographs at the conclusion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our final inductee of the night is from the state of Pennsylvania. And Fred, I took a little page out of your book and looked at some stats here. Our next inductee has more championships in the state of Pennsylvania than the Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, and 76ers combined. You didn't know that? I'm for hire. He was bit by the racing bug early at Reading and parlayed this passion into a Hall of Fame career that is still going strong today. To introduce our next inductee is his current car owner who has watched the talents of the newest member of the Hall of Fame. Please welcome to the podium, Butch Getz.
Good evening, everyone. It is a great honor to be here tonight to witness our driver, Dwayne Howard, being inducted into the Northeast Dirt Hall of Fame. I would also like to take him home and congratulate all of the other inductees and honorees. Tonight, I'm here mainly to talk about Dwayne Howard, the person, not the driver. A lot of people have mixed feelings about Dwayne Howard. When he puts his helmet on, he's mean. Outside the car, he's the greatest person there is. Dwayne's memorable career started at a very young age. During his childhood, Dwayne and his parents would go to the Reading Fairgrounds to watch the races every weekend. Not long after that, he got the itch to start racing. Dwayne bought a go-kart and started racing against Craig Von Dorn, who he still competes with every Friday and Saturday. And Vinny can attest for all the wheels we go through and wheel parts. They bump and grind on every Friday and Saturday night. As his career progressed, so did the love for the sport in not just Dwayne, but also his family. As years went by, Dwayne's brothers started to get involved. So did his daughters. Moving along into the past few years, the help from Dwayne's family still grows and is branching into the help from his girlfriend Jen, future son-in-law Ryan, and nephew Corey, along with close family friends. On November 22nd, 2020, we decided to hire Dwayne Howard to drive our race cars. Dwayne was hired, and right now, Dwayne is probably my best friend I have. He's an awesome driver. I don't have his stats prove everything, but he is my best friend. There's not a day that goes by that I don't talk to him either at the shop or on the phone. I'll call him in the morning early, ask what's going on for work, or he'll call me. But we talk just about every single day all year long. We talk about daily events, work, or how I did or didn't do at the casino. Throughout the years of Dwayne and I being a race team, we have learned that it's not always about working on the race cars. It's about spending time in the shop and spending time with family. We have formed a brotherhood between not only Dwayne and myself, but with his brothers and our families too. There were multiple times during the off season where Dwayne, his brother Kevin, his daughter Erica, my wife and I met at a casino, and we would gamble our money away instead of making more money. On days where we have rainouts or a day where we're just off from racing, sometimes we get together as families and just go to dinner. A few years ago, we came together as a race team and threw a party after Dwayne won his 9th Big Diamond Championship in 2022. At this party, Dwayne gave a speech that was very enlightening for us. For anyone that doesn't know Dwayne, he is a very humble man and does not like to talk about himself or his achievements. Although he would love to brag about taking $100 from my stepfather every time he wins a feature race. For instance, at Grandview, we were asked multiple times to do meet and greets, but Dwayne's answer was usually no. My daughter somehow convinced him to start participating and interacting with his fans, even though he says he has none. At the start of our time as a team, Dwayne would always leave the track right after the races were over because he didn't realize the amount of fans and people that respected him and looked forward to watching him race every weekend. Over time, my daughters, Danica and Kaylin, and Dwayne's relationship grew, and he enjoyed messing with Caitlin's GoPro cameras, but wouldn't let those clips go onto her vlogs. This led him to staying at the track longer, which resulted in him interacting with his fans more, even though he still questions the amount of fans he has. Our third race together, he run into Bruce Rogers, and he come back from tech. He got out of his fire suit and left the premises. And all these little kids come back for his autograph, and he was gone, and I had to explain to these little kids that he is on his way home. So then we kind of had to talk a little bit and say, you got to stay around for these little kids that are coming to the racetrack to see you or see, Craig Von Dorn, Jeff Strunk, all them guys. As I said it before, my daughters and Dwayne have a very good relationship, which is very important to me. Both my daughters, Danica and Kaylin, were on the varsity softball team at their high school and made it to the postseason championship. Dwayne and his girlfriend Jen decided to come to the game to support the girls. Even after every game during the regular season, Dwayne would ask how the girls' game went and how they played. He even accepted the invitation to be Danica's mentor at her senior night during one of her final softball games. This showed me the friendship I have built with Dwayne also extends to my immediate family, and that is something I respect. I think one of my most memorable moments was when we surprised Dwayne for his 60th birthday party. It was supposed to be a normal Tuesday night working in this race shop, as far as he knew. But we decorated the garage and had food waiting for him. As he walked in the door, the girls shot him with confetti guns. Later in the party, they surprised him with a wheelchair that was decorated like his race car. Once the 2023 racing season was over, the Howards invited my family on a cruise. As most know, Dwayne is very competitive off the track too. This resulted in with him and his daughter Jess playing very intense ping pong games on the cruise ship. Along with that, it got ruthless at the 80s music night. My family and I enjoyed our vacation with the Howard clan, and our bond grew closer. Now it's year 5 with Dwayne, and if it wasn't for his brothers and family, his friend little Jeff, along with a bunch of our other crew members back home, we wouldn't be able to have this team and be as successful as we are today. Everyone involved in Butch Gets Motorsports is very proud of Dwayne for everything he has accomplished these past 5 years. We are looking forward to celebrating his remarkable career and hopefully adding a few more wins to his list.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dwayne Howard. You don't have to worry. I don't have any confetti. One of the interesting things that I read in your biography is that you don't consider yourself a full-time racer. Is that correct?
No, I really never was. When it first started out, like our family, we leave the farm and just go to Reading Fairgrounds in my grandfather's box seats, and just something I never thought would be like a full-time gig, and it never did become that. My grandfather then put a little shed at the farm, and we owned our own car with Al Finch back in the day, and it's just something that developed that from day one I always was a worker. Work came first at the farm, and Dad and grandfather made sure that was first before we did anything else. So I really didn't look into racing to becoming a full-time job. I knew I had to be there and do the work that was expected of me. So to this day, holding down the township job that I have, I'm fortunate to have so many good people, good car owners, good sponsors, good crew members with each one of them teams that I was associated with. And my family has been involved in racing since day one back in the Reading Fairgrounds. My brothers still go today, very supportive. My whole family is so supportive. And Cheryl and Jeff Fick, they were there from day one. Poor Jeff, he straightened a lot of body panels over the years. And it's just them kind of people that kept you going. And it's such a career that I just can't be thankful for everyone else that along the way that helped me out.
Butch mentioned that you feel that you don't have a lot of fans. But I can tell you from an announcer standpoint, when I came into town down into Pennsylvania and did a race, there were a lot of Dwayne Howard fans down there.
There were, and then back in the, they were fans that were very vocal. We were booed a lot and heckled a lot in the Chad Sinnen days with the BPG days. We were pretty successful only because of what Chad Sinnen had put together. He hired a full-time crew chief with Al Finch, who was a son of a gun as a crew chief. Very, very hard, but brought the best out of you. And you know what? Today, I owe Al Finch a lot. My career wouldn't have been where it was without him. But them days, you had to really get back to what you were doing and just to produce. So.
When did you realize as a driver that you had what it takes to be good behind the wheel? What was that moment?
If you ask Al Finch, I probably never had it. I don't know. I just, winning, I guess, being successful, wanting to go to the racetrack week in and week out. We were racing 3 nights a week down the PA circuit with Penn National running Sundays, and it became the way of life. And the family was so involved, I think it just became what you were expected to do, go out and race a race car and win races.
In today's world, with the internet, the vlogs, the blogs, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays, that drivers and personalities gravitate to build their egos. What has kept you so grounded and humbled over the years?
I guess because I don't read it, honestly. I don't get involved in it. I know the social media is such a promotional tool now, but back in the day, when we were racing, I mean, everybody wanted to go to the racetrack to see what's happened next between the big three down there and winning races. So I guess that's what it is, just staying out of that realm of life where you're not reading that stuff and getting under your skin.
As an announcer, it's a treat to go to different tracks, to meet different drivers, to see that you only had a chance to read about. And Dwayne Howard was one of those drivers for me because back before the internet really took off, I had to learn about the drivers through Area Auto or Gator Racing News, and your name was always present. I knew about Dwayne Howard before I even met Dwayne Howard, and I liked Dwayne Howard because of what I saw, because he was in Victory Lane.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get to venture out more, but all my car owners, like the Heinemans, the 126 car, 357, and then when we started venturing out, I met Petruska's, and we never really traveled north. So, I mean, we kind of stayed in what we knew how to do, which was race locally in PA. So a lot of the people don't know me up here in North, maybe kind of what you're saying, but we were always interested in being the best we were every time we went to each track. So a couple times we did come to Syracuse, and I love going to Syracuse and competing there. And we just stay local to race at home.
Well, obviously, people know who you are and what you did by your accomplishments, obviously, because tonight you're enshrined into the Hall of Fame. How does this make you feel?
I mean, it's amazing to be on this wall with all these other competitors and everybody that was inducted tonight. It's such an honor for me, my family, and everyone involved. And I want to thank everyone for coming out, like the Fix and especially Bob Gramis for coming along tonight, and the Getz family and my daughters, everyone. It's such an honor. Never thought it would happen. From the back in the days when we started a little shed in the farm that was rat infested, and we were we were never thought it would come to this, and I'm truly humbled and truly honored.
Well, the moment is here, Dwayne. Step right over there. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame, would you please welcome Dwayne Howard. Dwayne, we're going to have you come right over here as Rich Appleby will make the presentation of your Hall of Fame plaque. Before I let you go, anybody in particular you'd like to say, mention, thank you?
Again, all the family that's here, everybody that came, everybody that's been involved over my long career, and I thank Jen and Ryan for coming tonight and also being part of my family, and that's about it. I was just very, very humbled.
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Northeast Modified Hall of Fame, the Diamond Cutter, Dwayne Howard. What's that for? Okay. Dwayne to do it? Okay. Huh? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of reminders. First, the 50-50, $342. I'm not looking. It is a white ticket. 874-3362. 874-3362. Pam, you can have this. White ticket, 874-3362. Reminder, after party down at the pavilion. Also, if I could have everybody's attention for just 30 seconds, Lori Fallis will be coordinating the photos, award winners, and inductees. Please stay around with your families. We'll do photos. Party down at the pavilion, and also this Saturday at Weedsport, the Hall of Fame 100 for the Super Dirt Car Series, and Sunday, the 27th, the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending. We look forward to seeing you next year. My name is The Voice, Shane Andrews. Congratulations to our award winners and inductees.